All right, what's up, everybody? So, in tonight's attempt to try and make the video quality better at night, I've looked at another video. It said to reduce the frames to like 24 frames per second. Obviously, none of you care about that, but I'm trying. And I'm down the street right now. There's not a lot of street lights, so I can't really tell if this is working or not yet. I really hope it is, because I have not put enough adequate time into looking this crap up. But it's just a tight timeline because I'm working today. So, I like the work week. I have like a pretty short timeline of going to and from places. So like I did this for like 3 minutes in my car before I started hightailing it to the gym. Does it look better? I can't tell. I really hope so. I still haven't looked into the upload quality issue with YouTube, but whatever. We're trying. Anyway, on the way to the gym, I'm going to train chest and back. So I have individual chest and back days. The first back day on Monday is for thickness, which is like all rowing type orientation movements, which you can imagine too. Like, I'll explain in a second. So Monday is back thickness, and then Tuesday just like a straight up chest day with little triceps at the end. Now today, I'm doing some more chest stuff, mostly like fly type movements. There's no pressing. And then I'm doing back, but I'm doing for back width. Yeah, width. Yeah, so it's all pull down type movements. And most bodybuilders do it this way. Some people don't. This is my first time doing it this way. I've never had an issue in the past doing like a full-blown back day with everything. But you also, like, you're limiting things, right? You start with barbell rows, now your pull-ups aren't as good. You start with weighted pull-ups at first, now your barbell rows aren't as good. And you can just think about it, too. Like, a lot of people are like, that's made-up bro science. Like, when you train a lat, you train a lat. It's like, yeah, that's true. When you work out a muscle, you have to contract the entire thing, but you can also emphasize different portions. And when you just think about the orientation, which is what I was getting at a little ahead of myself earlier, like the orientation of doing pulling type movements, rowing type movements to yourself, you're extending your lats in front of you and then pulling back, right? But the lats also help do a lot more than that. So when you're actually doing like pull down type movements, you're stretching your lats out in a different way. So when you think about it too, like you're lengthening the muscle, but you're doing it in a different way. And because of that, like these groups of thought with like pull down movements increase width, rowing movements increase thickness. It makes sense, right? Just because you're stretching the muscle out in different types of ways, doing those two different things. And like most other muscles are not like that, right? Like those are two different ways you hit your lats. But like when you're working your chest, like presses and flies work, but presses and flies are essentially doing the same thing, which is just like stretching your pec out the same way. Bicep curls, like it's really like the only way you're hitting your biceps. I mean, you're getting a little bit of bicep on rows, but like it's the same thing, right? Like your arm is just shortening length, and that's what's creating the bicep contraction. Whereas like with training your lats, there's a lot more articulation that takes place at the shoulder joint, and because of that, like your lats are multifaceted, in that they're getting trained and they're stabilizing and being the prime movers in rowing movements and pull down movements. And lats are actually like a big stability muscle too. Like people don't really talk about it now. Well, they're starting to talk about it now. Like with deadlifts too, anchoring into your lats when you're pulling the slack out of the bar right before you do a rep. A lot of people don't do that, but that's an essential portion of deadlifting the most weight. When you look at like elite powerlifters and strongmen talking about it, that's one of the biggest emphases that they make, which is, I can't really talk right, but yeah, that's like the biggest emphasis they make is anchoring into your lats before you pull the bar off the ground, creating as much tension into your lats when you pull the slack out of the bar before you initiate the rep, because that's increasing your overall body stability. When you have the most stability before initiating a lift, you have the most ability to generate power. And the lats are really essential, like even bench pressing. Being able to pull down into your tuck into your lats really hard, that's an essential thing to bench pressing the most weight possible. Most people don't do that. Like, I am a part of most people. Like, I never learned how to press right. Like, my shoulders are pretty tore up for over a decade of pressing wrong. I would bench press really flared out, and I still kind of do because I've been doing it for so long, but like, I wasn't like engaging my lats very well whatsoever, and I was just like putting direct mileage on the labrums in my shoulders every time I bench pressed really heavy. Like, I could feel it too. Like, I could feel mileage, like direct mileage being put on my shoulders every time I touched 315 or more, because like that's how incorrectly I bench pressed. It still looked like a clean bench press, but the little cues there, they were not there. If you saw it on film, you'd be like, that's a good bench press. But I wasn't doing movement cues into the lifts properly. And that's a big thing too, like cues, people don't talk about that. Like, you have like certain little things you focus on, your mind is drawn attention to those things before and while you're doing a lift. Maybe you have a problem area, like maybe your knees keep going inward when you're squatting. It's called knee valgus. And like that's happening. You start pushing the weight up in a squat, and now you have dancing knees. They want to kiss each other. They keep going in. And that's because of instability with your gluten medius and your hip. So like a big cue would be anchoring your feet into the floor and then trying to rip the floor apart. Or you could also think about it like, if there was a piece of paper under my feet, I'd be trying to rip the piece of paper apart. Like, you keep that kind of pressure on the floor with your feet to strengthen and avoid that happening in the future, because it's an energy leak. There's part of your musculature is not firing properly. And because of that, you're getting out of that lift because of raw strength with everything else, but your muscles are not working in the proper conjunction with each other to elicit the most force. And that's actually like a really fun topic too, because sometimes you get really, really strong lifting with bad form like that, and you'd be able to lift more if you built up the muscles you've been ignoring and the stability muscles you've been ignoring and went about your training different. But because you've gone on so long doing it that incorrect way, that if you start doing it the right way, you might actually take weight off the bar at first because it's so unfamiliar territory. And that's like counterintuitive to people. They're like, you're saying I can do this in a better way, but doing it in the better way is making me not be able to lift it much. And that's in the short term. Once you build that up and get everything working with firing with each other correctly, now you're doing way more than before. But that learning curve period of trying to like fix the bad habit, that's where like the weight goes down a little bit initially. And that freaks people out. They're like, this can't be right. The weight's going down, but it is. It's just, you've neglected something for so long that now you've added it to the chain of everything else, and the weak link is now present. Before, you were just like avoiding the weak link. And this happens with like muscle imbalances too. Like, people have overdeveloped delts or triceps, and they have like super underdeveloped chests. Like, there's a lot of people out there that can bench 405 or more, and they got shitty chests. They have terrible chests. And they're getting through the movement with a lot of tricep and shoulder emphasis. They don't really know how to engage their pecs very well into the lift. And they've gotten that strong not being able to do it. And now you have to try and relearn stuff. And those people have a hell of a time too. Like, if your arms get too disproportionately big to your chest, now you have a giant uphill battle. And if it gets too out of control, good luck. Like, if your delts get so uncontrollably more muscular and progressed than your chest, good luck trying to fix that now. Because now when you do, you have to use your shoulders to an extent to train your chest in any movement, right? You've just caused such a discrepancy between the two. Good luck getting your chest involved now, because it's going to be damn near impossible to have your shoulders not take up the brunt of the weight. No matter what you do now, like, your shoulders got so strong compared to your chest, good luck trying to eliminate them from doing like most of the movement for you. And that happens to people. Like, there's a lot of really good pro bodybuilders. Like, and don't get me wrong, it's not like Like some people have straight up shitty chests, like, but in proportion to each other, they're out of sync. There's a lot of good pro bodybuilders that like have a smaller chest, and like that's the weak point. Like on the whole physique, that's what is getting them marked down and making them not get straight 10s on everything. And they're like in a never-ending battle of trying to fix it. But don't get me wrong, like they still have great physiques. Like these people could win shows with that problem. So it's not like, you know, it's not like, oh my God, like my life is doomed. It's like, no, like there's really good pro bodybuilders that has happened to. And also too, it depends what the discrepancy is, right? Because, you know, if you have a really huge torso and tiny arms, that never looks good. That looks weird. But if you have giant arms and your torso is not really there, looks awesome. Always looks awesome. Bigger arms always make the rest of the physique look better. Like it works like that. And if you have a freaky body part too, like let's say you're not the most balanced guy, but you have like a really like freaky standout body part, I personally like physiques like that more. Sometimes there's like someone standing next to someone on a bodybuilding stage and everything on them is like completely proportional all the way. And they might be bigger than the guy with the freaky body part, but the guy with the freaky body part looks more impressive in some poses because he's got like that freaky like, oh, look at this mismatch here. That looks awesome on him. And the other guy's just like straight up balanced all around. So it, you know, he like objectively does have the better physique, but like the guy with the freaky body part looks a lot cooler in shots. At least I think so. And sometimes the judges tend to agree. Sometimes they don't, but you know, what are you going to do? Like I can always see why they made a decision. There's like a lot of casual bodybuilding fans out there, and this is like the sum of their opinions. They're like, my favorite guy didn't win. This is a fake. It's predetermined. Like, oh yeah, like this is terrible. It's fixed. Like that's their opinions on everything because they suck and they're stupid. Like they're it's like grown adults that never learned how to think outside their own perspective. That's what it is. You're like, oh yeah, this guy that spent like a decade and a half going from judging small shows to bigger shows and like building up a career in this one thing that has a fine-tuned eye for it, that's invested this much of his life into judging this in person, not just photos you're seeing online. Like, yeah, they got it wrong, right? You're the smart one. They're dumb. That's how stupid guys are, though. Like they're like, well, I like their physique better, and they didn't win, so this is fake. You see it all the time. It's also why I try to avoid opening up comment sections, because you see like all the worst uneducated people talking the most. That kind of tends to be what it is, though, right? Like even in person. Like when you're going in your everyday life, like you're not going to run into someone just being outwardly verbally stupid all the time. But when you do, those people tend to love to talk. And think about how small of a select group of people you're dealing with in your daily life. Like it's not that many. Now just like imagine all kinds of people you don't know that have situations like that, where like they're also dealing with like some like medium-sized pocket of other people, and they're running into people like that. Now think about the entire internet and the whole world of people out there. Like there's going to be tens of thousands of these freaking idiots, and they all found each other. They all found each other in the comment section on a fitness post where they all think some professional bodybuilder is wrong and they're right. They also weigh 150 pounds. God damn. But I really got to stop opening that stuff, guys. It's just like, God, you see stuff that's like so stupid. I don't even, it doesn't like make me upset. I'm just like, why do you think that? Like, I want to know what trail of bad thoughts led you to think this wrong thing. That's what I'm more curious about than the wrong thing. Like, what domino effect happened for you to think this stupid fucking thing you think? I don't know if I'm allowed to swear that much on YouTube. There's like 10 people watching my videos right now. So it's like not a problem. But ideally, when you do this kind of stuff, like you're hoping one day a somewhat sizable group of people would like appreciate the things you have to say. So that's kind of how it works for people that aren't like corporate shills, right? You just start making videos because you want to, like what I'm doing, and then like one of those people might randomly be the person everyone starts viewing, and that's when you start getting hammered by by the policy of whatever you're doing. They're gonna like go back. I could be like 3 years from now, and like maybe I gotten better at this, hopefully, and a lot of people like listening to me, and they're like, look at this time in this video 3 years ago, you swore like 5 times. You're out of here, buddy. And then that's that. You're done. Because I've been watching videos where people have complained about that happening, but obviously I haven't experienced it firsthand. I'm like, nobody on here right now. Well, you know what? I'm not nobody. Everybody is somebody. And it's really important to recognize that, because that girl you see on Instagram with 200,000 followers that has been working out for like a year and a half, yeah, she thinks she's the shit and she's awesome, and she obviously must know what she's talking about because that many people want to follow her. And that person knows nothing. There's a whole ton of those kinds of people. They don't know what the hell they're talking about, but a lot of people follow them because they're hot. And they get like hyperinflated egos. Like, let's like a good example. Well, this person doesn't, they might have that many now, but, like Brianni Terry. I got into it with her a little bit, like a couple years ago online. One of the first things out of her mouth, she's like, oh, shut up, you're a nobody. You have all 20 followers. And like, you know how much of an unimportant dumbass that makes you sound like? Like, you just conflated your follower count with your self-importance, and that like tells me that you're a moron. But I mean, she is a moron, so what are you gonna do? She also has been abusing gear so much she has a voice like Brittany Griner, so what are you gonna do? Anyway, I am going to the gym and train some chest and back, and I am excited to do some pull-ups. I really like pull-ups. At one point, I was doing pull-ups with 245s on my chained belt, and when you're at that point, you feel pretty cool. But I ended up tearing my bicep, my last bodybuilding prep, had to get surgery on that, and the guy was like flat out telling me, he's like, you're probably never going to do that again. Like, you could definitely do pull-ups again, but probably not that. And I mean, in my head, I'm like, okay, challenge accepted. But honestly, he might be right. Like, I think if my body weight stayed around the same as it was in that period where I was like around like 200 pounds, I think for sure I'd be able to do that again. But I progressed. I'm happy about progressing, and my strength may have progressed, but my body weight has gone up too, right? So what am I? I'm like 243 pounds right now. So I'm like 40 pounds heavier than then. And like now I have to lift that much more weight with just my body weight and then throw the plates on. So it's a lot more fatiguing. I mean, I definitely feel like I could be doing more right now, but I'm being precautious with movements like that. Like, that would be a really stupid thing for me to re-injure myself on. So I'm focusing on being a lot more slow with the reps on those and being a lot more intentional. And I'm doing like, I have like a 45 on my waist right now. It's hard for that to feel impressive when you've done so much more before. But, that's what happens too. Sometimes you end up getting better work out of less weight because now you've learned how to move better. Like, a lot of people that talk about that too. There's a lot of bodybuilders that are like, oh yeah, like I get way better workouts now with using less weight than before because now I actually get better contractions. And that's like the never-ending battle of bodybuilding, right? Like, you're trying to become a master of your body and be like a master of contractions and holding tension. Because like, try as you might, if you're not, the smaller you are, the lesser your ability to do that. And then you get bigger and you keep on improving your ability to do that. My ability to do that is far greater than it was a year ago. And it keeps on progressing that way. over time, and your body starts showing it too. You put on more muscle mass and you get even better at it, and it keeps cascading that way until you eventually peak your physique, which would, for most guys, that's like around like the 35 to 38-year-old range if they've been doing it for a long time. But who can tell? There's caveats out there. There's like Rolly Winkler was like looking amazing at like 43 years old. Dexter Jackson was like still like a top Olympia contender around like 50 years old, which is crazy. But if I remember right, I believe his nickname is Father Time, because that's how unlikely it is to run across someone like that. But that's awesome. That's like the most inspiring thing. Like right now we got a guy like called we got Kamal. Kamal's one of them, and then Phil Klahar. Those two guys are up there in age, and they both look amazing. I don't know if Kamal retired. He may have. I feel like I've seen that, but I also I'm half and half. I could be wrong on that. But anyway, don't mean to bore you with that kind of stuff. I'm going to go into the gym right now. I'm going to train some chest and back. And we'll talk to you guys later. Tomorrow maybe? I don't know. How are you guys doing? Hopefully well.